Hello and welcome back to this week's Weekly Waffle.
The topic of this weekly waffle is the rumoured London resort. Will it come to fruition or will it just fail like all other UK projects of this nature? Despite planning documents being submitted in March 2022, the planning documents have since been retracted.
So, this would mean that as of now, the London resort is not going ahead. However, we can still speculate about a new UK theme park and what it would feature.
Also, just because the planning documents got retracted doesn't mean that the London resort will not go ahead. It just means that either the plans will be refined at a later date and resubmitted to comply with the environmental agency, or the project will simply not go ahead.
Also, the original contractor may not want to build the theme park as it may be seen as not financially viable. However, another contractor may still be willing to do the project.
This theory is logical because the work done to comply with the environmental agency was very costly, as the park would have to introduce a green space in order to ensure that the area remained environmentally friendly.
The park would have had to spend 150 million on complying with the environmental agency's ruling, so this may have ruled out them from building the theme park due to them not being able to afford this.
Now we are going to speculate on what we would like to see at the park if it did come into fruition, or any other park of this scale if it did come to the UK.
I think the UK could do with a Vekoma Shockwave. This is the next-gen Vekoma launch coaster, which is seen at Anigilandia in the form of Abyssus.
It might be a controversial opinion, but I think Abyssus is better than Icon at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. The airtime on the back row of Abyssus is just superb, much better than what you can get on Icon in any seat. The elements on Icon may be unique, but they are certainly not airtime filled, unlike Abyssus at Anigilandia.
I've never experienced either of these coasters. However, the next-gen Vekoma rides all have incredible reviews from people who've ridden them. They all look smooth, intense, and it looks like a very good fit for the UK. It is also very, very different from anything else which we have in the UK now, apart from Icon, which I think would make it a good fit.
Low-key, the vest restraints are very comfortable, and although they may not provide as much comfort as lap bars, you can still appreciate the hang time and air time in them.
So, Marcus, what would you include in the London resort if you were a member of the board?
Now, optimistically, what I would love to see at the London resort would be an RMC.
I think that a ground-up RMC is what the UK needs for its coaster industry.
I completely agree with you there, Tom. A ground-up RMC would be absolutely stunning, but personally, I'd like to see a 500-foot RMC T-Rex. Now, of course, I'm joking, but an RMC with the traditional RMC elements would be incredible, such as a zero-G stall.
As with most interesting types of roller coasters, I have not experienced an RMC yet. I'm very much looking forward to when I can finally get on one, and all of the POVs I have seen and reviews I've heard of RMCs show just how good of a roller coaster that this would be.
Personally, I'd like to see a dive loop like the one on Airy Force 1, the RMC hybrid that is coming to Fun Spot Atlanta.
This element looks really, really exciting, and it looks very, very unconventional, just like most of the things that RMC do.
So Tom, excluding an RMC, what would you like to see at this speculated London resort?
I think a good addition to the UK would be a B&M hypercoaster. This is a very obvious choice, as it has lots of cool airtime, which the UK lacks.
I completely agree with you, Tom. As someone who has done Hyperion at Anigilandia, which may be an Intamin hypercoaster instead of a B&M, but I still thoroughly enjoyed it, which makes me think that a B&M hypercoaster could also be incredible, something like Shambhala at Portaventura. The restraints on B&M hypercoasters certainly are forgiving, which enables the airtime that the UK really likes.
So Mark, overall, what qualities would you want a roller coaster which would come to the London resort to have?
I'd like to see another roller coaster with a drop of over 200 feet, because the big one is old and not very pleasant, so something new would really be appreciated. Exodus looked like it could cover this, but the layout is rather short, so I'd really prefer to see a B&M with an out and back longer layout.
I think there is one thing which must be a feature of whatever roller coasters come to the London resort, and that is airtime. As any UK enthusiast will agree, airtime is not the UK's strongest point within their roller coasters. One of the best airtime moments in the UK comes from the Smiler, a roller coaster for the world record with the most inversions on any roller coaster in the world. This just shows the UK's lack of any good airtime, and it shows that a major thing needed within the upcoming UK coasters is airtime.
Even Exodus, another hypercoaster, doesn't feature that much airtime, which is why I think we need another hypercoaster like this.
A hypercoaster would be very good, however I'm not too picky on what type of roller coaster we get, as long as it is very good.
That's why I'd like to see an RMC though, because the airtime is incredible and the UK is really missing something, and most enthusiasts can't appreciate an RMC without travelling abroad.
Moving swiftly on to this week's new segment of the Weekly Waffle, the Random Roller Coaster Review. This is where we go on RCDB and refresh the page and talk about the roller coaster that appears. This week is Dragon at Festival Land in the United Arab Emirates. Despite the name Dragon, it turns out that this ride is actually shaped like a duck.
This incredible roller coaster was manufactured by the infamous Top Fun, because we have all heard of this marvellous manufacturer before, haven't we? The next roller coaster that we are looking at is Boomerang at La Ronde in Quebec, Canada. Like all Vekoma boomerangs, the park feels that it has to call it Boomerang because it is a boomerang. Genius marketing.
I know that earlier in this video we have both praised Vekoma. However, no amount of beautiful shockwaves will ever make up for this horrible creation. The final roller coaster of this week's Random Roller Coaster Review is Skytrack at Manchester, England. This ride is now defunct, very unfortunately. However, it's probably a good thing for the spines of humanity.
Despite the unappealing nature of this ride, it was the first flying coaster in the world, which lay waste to the many vertebrae of enthusiasts around the world.
I have never heard of this ride before until today. However, I already hate it because it looks like the inspiration for the Zamperla Valairs, which are horrible, as I have actually experienced this ride. It is typical that I have experienced this horrid ride, but I've never experienced something semi-decent.
Skytrack looks like it is themed to a housing estate in Manchester.
This can't be the case, as there are no chavs in sight on the POVs.
Seriously though, why have they just thrown in a random brick building in the background? What on earth?
Our final segment of this week's Weekly Waffle is the GP of the Week. This week, the GP of the Week is Business Connect India. Their article on the top 10 most dangerous roller coasters in the world.
So here you can see the Business Connect India website, where we are met with the top 10 dangerous amusement rides around the world. Scrolling down, we have Sky Scream roller coaster in Germany. While this looks rather interesting, I'm sure it is perfectly safe. Next up, Steel Dragon 2000. Why is this even on here? This is fairly safe. What is going on?
I mean, this just looks absolutely horrid, and this does look genuinely dangerous. However, I'm sure it is perfectly safe considering the safety regulations required in Texas. Moving on, we see the Insanity Ride at the Stratosphere. Now, this ride provides the illusion of danger. However, you are perfectly safe whilst riding this, and you are probably not going to die.
Next up, Arkham Asylum. It's Movie World Australia, which is spelled wrong. What even is this? Is this even a roller coaster? Nobody knows. This picture just eloquently illustrates this roller coaster. Just beautiful. And now Mission Space at Disney World.
Because Disney World are known, have a reputation for being very, very dangerous, you know. When you go to Disney World, your probability of death is just 100%. You are dead when you enter. Next up, the Derby Racer. Is this even open? It was destroyed in 1919. Well, why does this article exist then?
Well, of course it's not safe if it doesn't exist anymore, but I don't think it killed anyone at the time.
Moving on, Cyclone. It looks weird and it looks old, so I can see why this lovely fellow thought this was a dangerous coaster. Fair enough to the boy. Formula Rossa. An incredible ride. Why is this on here? You might get grains of sand in your eye from the speed, but other than that, it's not even that dangerous.
Now, Intamins do actually have a track record of killing people, but not this Intamin, so it should be safe for you to ride.
Finally, Batman the Ride? What?
On that tragic note, we shall end the video. Make sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed this video and would love to see more of the Weekly Waffle. Make sure to also hit that subscribe button because we will make really epic videos like this in the future. Also, make sure to follow us on all of the social medias available.
To all those who survived Tom's shameless plug, thank you for watching, and goodbye.